Really didn't know what I was or wasn't getting into. I've always enjoyed writing, and I knew that I enjoyed the nonprofit life. Like, I've been involved in that for a long time. And so making an impact in it with writing, it was like win, 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 win. The hardest thing I've been asked to do, turn in this major grant to NASA. Just panic. I had to do it in 10 days. Did it. It almost killed me.
Elayna had been wanting to write grants forever. From being a manager in food service to data entry for a district attorney, she was dying to use her skills for impact. Elayna landed a grant writing job as a newbie and has now won, you ready for it? $1.2 million for her own organization, plus another 100K plus for her side hustle clients. And she only started learning about grant writing 2 years ago. Her secret? Owning your stuff and faking it till you make it. Meet Elayna. Welcome, Elayna. I am so excited to share pieces of your story today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited too.
Thinking back to your life pre-collective, why did you decide to seek out a grant writing community?
I was working with some friends to try to get a nonprofit off the ground. Ultimately did not wind up doing. But in the process of trying, I was asked to look into what grants might suit what we were trying to get off the ground. I really had no background on grants at all. It was just money. I learned a lot more about it, and I was watching all these webinars, and I came across Meredith on one of them as a guest presenter. And I was like, she really seems fun, first of all. On top of that, she seems like she knows what she's doing. I would love to do that, but it took me a while before I kind of had both the means and the time to do so. But I was very much hoping to and really looked forward to it.
When you joined, what was your definition of success?
My first real goal was like, get certified and figure out how to do this and hopefully do it well.
I think you've done it well. We'll talk about your wins in a little bit, but I think you've cracked the code on what it means to be a great grant writer. Is that the same definition of success you have today?
To get more experience in a greater variety of grant topics. And so now where I'm at is trying to have enough experience to warrant being a higher value grant writer, if that makes sense, and hopefully earn more money, but also have more impact, just financial freedom and also freedom, and hopefully help organizations do the same.
So right now, are you mainly consulting? Or are you also working in-house or a combo of both?
So I'm working in-house full-time and I am part-time. There's a lot of people connected to the in-house environment that are interested in funding their organizations. And so they've been kind of tapping me lately, which has been great.
Side hustling and full-time grant writer with no experience prior to this.
Great.
I'm guessing you landed the full-time gig first and then some side hustle projects came with that.
Started actually with side hustling. I wanted to do full-time freelance, but it was landing me in mostly with startup organizations. They just did not have a lot of funding to continuously hire me for things. So I wound up having to go to full time, and it's been great.
Often we are intimidated by the applications that are like, please list all of your experience. And you're like, I don't have it. So talk to me about how it went actually applying for a job and landing a job as a new grant writer.
I was nervous. I was looking to move back to Worcester, Massachusetts. I needed a job to do so. This was the only job really that I had applied to so far. And I really wasn't sure I was going to get it because it's a relatively known and big organization here. Thankfully, we hit it off and they liked me and it's been great.
Well, I know everything hasn't been that simple. So take me back to a really challenging moment on this journey.
There is joining organization. There's various kind of process hiccupy things that happen
because different people have different priorities and different ways of doing things. That has been a thing. But then also too, one specific grant was probably the biggest win in the end was the hardest thing I've been asked to do, turn in this major grant to NASA. And NASA, first of all, no big deal.
I remember the day you posted in the community group and you're like, just some light reading, this whole stack of NASA documents.
Not great instructions on what they were looking for. There was no NOFO. It was, these are our terms and conditions. Here's what you can do. An unsolicited request, but it was kind of a solicited request. Just panicked. And I had to do it in 10 days. Did it. It almost killed me. Survived it.
It was a giant amount of money too, right?
$856,000, which is a weird number.
The only time 10-day deadlines are worth it, right?
I'm glad it was worth it. I'm glad that it wound up being good.
Because you have won $1 million in grant funding.
That happened relatively quickly.
Did you do a funding strategy and you had all these grants and you knew what to go after? Like, how did you just come into a job and now we've won $1 million?
Part of it was that NASA grant. But yes, I did a funding strategy, did the research, matched them to some great grants that they were not familiar with yet, won several of those as well. It's been awesome. Almost 1.3.
Almost 1.3 in like 2 years.
The wins, though, were over the past year. I've been grant writing for quite some time, but the actual results of being awarded were all in the past year.
This is where the impact of the work really gets to come through. Yes, you struggled. You finally got the full-time job after getting so many different startup nonprofits. How am I going to break through? And then you get to actually do the cool impact work. It is a journey. It's not like we get to make the impact tomorrow. It's just huge kudos because 1.3 is an insane amount of money.
And now they're able to do all this cool stuff at the facility that I work in. They're upgrading a planetarium and they're doing all this wonderful work. And I'm like, I know how this happened. I wrote about it.
The confidence is just oozing out of you. Was it always this way? Like, were you always certain that you were going to be this great grant writer bringing in 1.3 million for multiple organizations?
No, I've always been pretty confident as a human, but in terms of grant writing, I really didn't know what I was or wasn't getting into. I've always enjoyed writing, and I knew that I enjoyed the nonprofit life. Like, I've been involved in that for a long time, and so making an impact in it with writing, it was like win, 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 win.
Yes, we have these prior skills. Like, yes, we have this desire, but to marry them and tell ourselves we can do this. I am capable. It's huge. This is a beautiful part of your journey that you let yourself just fully lean into what you could be if you applied all of this.
Thank you. It was kind of like a magical combination of just things that I had some experience in, and it just wound up being like perfect.
You talked about a little bit of the impact that we're making. We're going to do a new planetarium. What are the projects that you're working on? Where is this impact happening?
I'm currently working at a STEM education focused museum. And so there's science, there's education, there's a lot going on there. And then I'm also working with some kind of justice focused nonprofits. Recently, I'm working on a academic project with a local college.
You're getting your diversity.
Exactly that I was looking for.
You're also doing some things in your spare time. I can't imagine that you have a ton of spare time, but talk to me about what that looks like.
There's several populations on the planet right now that are just suffering and going through some horrific things. Some people from some of those populations have reached out and asked for my help, particularly fundraising, because they're in places where they're starving or they're in places where they're unsafe. And money is helpful to them, and also helping facilitate making sure that those people can survive, which has been fulfilling.
I know we've talked about so many wins in this whole series, but what is something that you are most proud of on this grant writing journey?
Being able to affect change in general, being able to support projects that are tangibly helpful to people is so motivating. It's just motivating to see the end product, all of the things that can happen because of writing something. It's just mind blown. Like, it's amazing.
Rapid fire questions, one word-ish. What is one word to describe your dream lifestyle?
Financial freedom, I think, is a big one.
Your next vacation spot.
I'm hoping to go to Italy.
Favorite podcast?
I'm really not good at podcasts, but the one that I did lock into and listen to was done by my friend Nikki Wolf. He did one called Finding Q.
What are you reading right now?
Currently, I have Meredith Noble's book on my desk.
Last TV show you binged?
Monsters, about the Menendez brothers on Netflix.
What is your superpower?
Hopefully communication.
I would say that if you're winning 1.3 in a year's length of time, that we're communicating something very effectively.
Thank you. I hope so.
I think so many people on this journey want to land a job. They come in, they maybe have a couple side hustle projects, and that opens some doors to landing a job. What is your advice to those people who are feeling like doors aren't opening and I'm going to submit this application and just hope for the best?
Be confident in the fact that you know your stuff. I think that's really the most important thing, because they want to know that they can rely on you and what you do and what you're capable of and what you know. And if you don't have that confidence, they're probably not going to be able to trust you in that regard. Having it is hugely important.
Mic drop with that. Do you have any tips or tricks where maybe you aren't feeling like, oh gosh, I don't know my stuff fully. Like at 100%, I don't know my stuff, but I feel like I kind of know my stuff. How do you get that energy switch so that you can walk into the room going like, nah, I got this?
I think that Meredith somewhere in the course says, fake it till you make it. And that really is important. Believe in yourself kind of more than anybody in the room does, and they will come to believe in you as they get to know you.
I love that. Believe in yourself more than anyone in the room. It's beautiful. And you exude confidence. I can just see how like one conversation with funders, organizations that you want as clients or your full-time job, it was like, yeah, we want her.
Thank you. Enjoy the conversations with funders as well. They're great.
I believe that. We are so proud to be walking this journey with you. Thank you, Elayna.
Thank you. It's been my pleasure.